She walked up behind me at a wedding I didn't even want to attend. 200 guests, string quartet, rose petals on every folding chair. And somehow, out of all of them, she chose me. I didn't know who she was at first, not until she leaned down, voice low and sharp, right into my ear, and said, "Stop watching the bride. Eyes on me." Not a whisper, not a flirtation, a command. The kind of voice that makes boardrooms go completely silent. I turned around and almost knocked over my champagne, because the woman standing behind me, one hand resting on the back of my chair like she owned the entire lawn, was Victoria Hale, CEO of Stratton Industries, the woman whose name I'd seen on company-wide emails for 3 years but never once spoken to. She was looking at me like she was reading something written on my face. And the strangest part? She was right about everything she saw. You have to understand what kind of man I was before that wedding. My name is Ethan Walker, Quality Control, Building B, second floor at Stratton Industries. I've worked there for 6 years. I wear the same rotation of 4 dress shirts. I bring a travel mug that says "World's Okayest Dad" in faded letters. And most days, I'm invisible in the best possible way. 3 years ago, my wife Sarah left. Didn't fight. Didn't argue. She packed her things while I was at a parent-teacher conference, left a note that started with, "I can't do this anymore," and ended with a lawyer's business card. I came home to an apartment that was suddenly too big, and a 6-year-old daughter named Lucy who asked me where Mommy went. I told her Mommy needed to find herself. Lucy asked if we should help her look. I didn't have an answer for that. Since then, it's been me and Lucy against the world. 5:47 every morning. Shower, dress, negotiate breakfast, find the missing shoe, always the left one, never the right. Drive to school, wave in the drop-off line, head to work, repeat. My social life was basically 2 categories: things Lucy needed and things work required. Weddings fell into a 3rd category I tried to avoid entirely. Places where you summarize your worth in 1 sentence and watch other people's happiness and pretend you feel nothing about your own. But Ryan Martinez was my college roommate. Best man at my wedding 8 years ago. You don't skip that. So I borrowed a suit jacket that didn't quite fit, drove to the Riverside estate, and took a seat in the very last row of white folding chairs. I knew maybe 5 people out of 200. The ceremony had that golden hour glow that photographers charge extra for. String quartet. A bride named Melissa something who looked radiant in the way brides do when they haven't yet learned what marriage costs. Worth it. I watched the exchange of rings with the quiet detachment of someone who's already lived that scene. And then I started planning my exit. Except something stopped me. I didn't hear her approach. I didn't notice her until the moment she spoke. Low, certain, impossible to ignore. "Stop watching the bride. Eyes on me." I had absolutely no idea that those 5 words were about to unravel 3 years of carefully maintained numbness. I turned around sharply. Victoria Hale, CEO. The woman whose face appeared in business journals next to words like visionary and ruthless. The person whose signature closed company-wide emails but who'd never once appeared in the break room. I'd seen her exactly twice in person. Once at an all-hands meeting when she announced a merger. Once in an elevator, where she stood in perfect silence for 12 floors. She didn't look at me in that elevator. I wasn't even furniture to her. But now she was looking at me like she'd been watching for a while. "You were about to leave," she said. Not a question. I was just, "You were watching them like someone trying to remember something they've lost." She paused. I do the same thing at weddings. Around us, 200 guests were drifting toward the reception tent. Nobody was paying attention to the last row. Nobody cared about the CEO and the quality control guy in the borrowed jacket having a conversation that made no logical sense. I stood up instinctively, putting distance between us. A reflex, like when you step back from something bright. "Stay," Victoria said. One word, but the weight in it was different from a command. It was something else entirely. Why? The question came out before I could stop it. Her expression shifted. Something moved across her face. Fast, vulnerable, and then vanished. Like a door opening and closing in the same second. "Because everyone here wants something from me," she said quietly. "Except you. You didn't even notice I was here until I spoke." I almost said, "That's not true." She almost smiled. Liar. And somehow, I laughed. Not a polite laugh, a real one. "If we're both going to suffer through rubber chicken and speeches," she said, already walking toward the reception tent. We might as well suffer together. She didn't look back. She just walked, expecting me to follow. I stood there for 3 full seconds. Everything in me said, get in the car, go home. Read Lucy her space book, stay in your lane. I had a daughter to think about. A life that was small and safe and held together by routine. I had no business following a CEO anywhere, especially not into a wedding reception where I didn't belong. But here's what I didn't understand yet. Neither did she. And that was the thing that changed everything. I followed her, and that night, standing in a garden with a glass of champagne I wasn't sure I deserved, I made a decision I couldn't take back. The next morning, reality hit hard. My phone buzzed at 5:47 a.m. Same as always. Lucy needed breakfast. The missing shoe was the left one again. School drop-off. Building B. 2nd floor. Badge swipe. Coffee. The smell of machinery oil. Normal. Safe. Predictable. Except my mind kept circling back. A garden. Champagne. A napkin in my pocket. The one I'd grabbed at dinner for Lucy's collection because she wanted something fancy from the fancy party. I'd shown Victoria that napkin. Just pulled it out, almost without thinking, and told her about Lucy's obsession with collecting things. Rocks, business cards, anything she deemed special. Victoria had gone quiet, just stared at that crumpled napkin in my hand. And then she said something I wasn't ready for. You're a good father. 2 seconds later, she told me about her own father, Thomas Hale, founder of Hale Manufacturing, always traveling, always building. She'd wait by the window before school plays, hoping, just this once, he'd show up. He never did. I didn't know what to say to that. That Monday, Victoria walked into our team's quarterly review meeting in a charcoal suit, efficient, polished, completely impersonal. She spoke for 7 minutes about protocols and efficiency metrics and team recognition, programs. She didn't look at me once. Not once. I sat in the back of that conference room and wondered if I had imagined the entire evening. If the champagne and the garden and the woman who'd told me things she said she shouldn't have. If all of it had just been a moment, a mood, something she'd already moved past. I went back to my desk, analyzed reports, logged data, fell into the rhythm that required precision but not thought. I'd convinced myself it meant nothing. At 2:17 p.m., my desk phone rang. Mr. Walker, this is Catherine Torres from Executive Services. Miss Hale would like to see you in her office at 4 o'clock today. Does that work with your schedule? The department hummed around me like nothing had happened. I had 93 minutes to figure out what I was going to do, and I already knew I was going. The 23rd floor was a different world. Thick carpet, original art, windows everywhere, the quiet efficiency of power. Victoria was standing at her window when I walked in, her back to the room. She didn't turn around right away. You were professional at the meeting this morning, I said carefully. It's fine. It's not fine. She turned then. The CEO mask was in place, but there were cracks. I don't want to be professional with you, but I have to be here. In this building I have to be Miss Hale. She paused. I can't be Victoria, the woman who said things at a wedding she shouldn't have said. Then why am I here? She met my eyes. Because Friday night was real. And I need you to know that. I didn't speak. This is also real, she continued, gesturing to the corner office around her. The fact that I sign your paychecks, the fact that if anyone here knew I was interested in you, they'd assume you're trading up, and I'm compromising my judgment, and neither of us would get the benefit of the doubt. So this is you telling me to forget it. No, the word came out sharp. This is me telling you I don't know how to do this. I don't know the rules. I don't know what's appropriate. She pushed away from the desk. But I'm telling you anyway. I'm interested. I want to see you again. Not here. Not like this. Just as us. We negotiated like two people trying to diffuse something neither of us fully understood. I told her about Lucy, about limited time and limited trust, and the baggage I carried everywhere. She told me about the company scrutinizing her every move, about a reputation built on never showing weakness. This is a terrible idea, I said. Probably, she agreed. One coffee, I heard myself say. Away from here. Somewhere nobody from Stratton goes. Victoria's expression shifted. Not quite a smile. Something more cautious, more hopeful. There's a place called Maple and Stone, she said. Wednesday, 6:30. Week by week. Quietly, carefully. We started building something. They had absolutely no idea. Maple and Stone became our place. She walked in the first Wednesday wearing jeans and a sweater, the first time I ran streets. And ever seen her in anything other than a suit, hair down, less makeup. She looked younger, less certain, more real. We talked for 3 hours, about my marriage, not the betrayal of the ending, but the slow emptiness of the middle, about her childhood, the boarding schools, the summer internships, the lifetime of people looking through her to what her last name could do for them. Why me? I asked once. She leaned forward. You know what you did at that wedding when I came up to you? You looked annoyed. Actually annoyed, like I was interrupting your escape plan. She smiled. No one looks annoyed when I approach them. They light up, they calculate, they perform. You just looked like I was another obligation. That's not exactly flattering. It was real. And then you told me about your daughter collecting napkins. And I thought, when was the last time someone told me something that small and perfect? What would you have done? Walking away from that felt impossible. Then 3 weeks later, the dam broke. Dennis, my supervisor, closed the conference room door, sat down heavily. Are you involved with Victoria Hale? Someone had seen us. Cafe, restaurant, the gallery on 5th Street, photos sent to HR. 45 minutes in an HR meeting, carefully worded questions. Appearance of impropriety, conflicts of interest. I answered honestly. We'd had coffee. Several times. Yes, across the city. No special treatment. No pressure. Nothing but two people choosing to spend time together. They called it an appearance issue. I called it none of their business. That evening in her office, she was pacing, which she never does. I should have been more careful. Don't do that, I said. Don't rewrite what happened. I chose every meeting. I'm an adult. I might not be able to protect your job. Then I'll find another job. She looked at me for a long moment. The CEO mask cracked completely. I'm scared, she whispered. I don't know how to do this without hurting you. I closed the distance between us. Stop protecting me from choices I'm capable of making. If you want to end this, end it. But don't do it because you think it's for my own good. The next morning, Victoria Hale sent an email to the entire executive team and HR. Subject line, personal disclosure. 23 words. Clean, direct, unambiguous. She was in a personal relationship with Ethan Walker from Quality Control. It didn't affect her judgment. It didn't affect his employment. Any questions could come directly to her. The room went silent. Then the storm started, and Victoria walked straight into it, smiling. Stop watching the bride. Eyes on me. Now I finally understood exactly what she'd meant. The gossip didn't stop, but it changed. Grudging acceptance settled in. My performance reviews stayed stellar. No favoritism. No favors. Dennis pulled me aside one afternoon and said, You're the same worker. Better, actually. Less tense. Victoria faced the board in a 3-hour meeting and walked out with her position intact. One condition attached. Quarterly ethics reviews. Review away, she told them. You'll find nothing. They found nothing. 6 months after a wedding, I almost skipped. Victoria came to Lucy's school play, sat in the audience with me and my mother, clapped loudly when Lucy appeared as tree number 3, bought all 4 of us ice cream afterward. Lucy asked her, very seriously, if she liked space. Victoria said, I'm learning to. She didn't lie, didn't pander. That's when I knew. 1 year later, sitting on a bench at Bennett Park after Lucy's gay 7th birthday party, frosting in Victoria's hair, telescope box torn open somewhere behind us, she turned to me and said, I want to build something with you, something that lasts. I took her hand. Same gesture that started all of this. I said, slowly, for Lucy, we do this right. She nodded, and that was enough. More than enough. Some people spend their whole lives watching other people's happy endings. Then one day, someone turns to you and says, eyes on me, and you finally stop looking away.